Hi, I'm Rebecca with Vital Work, and you are here for the answer to the question, how do we change workplace culture? I'm going to begin to answer that question for you. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to answer this really complex question in a few different bits over time because it's a lot to digest. So we're going to do part one today. Part one begins with us understanding what is culture, right? We can't really transform something unless we understand what it is. And so, in just a minute, I'm going to give you a really simple but powerful working definition of culture. And then I'm going to tell you two important things, maybe even three, that you need to know about workplace culture. So, let's start with the definition. This is the $1,000,000 question. What is culture? Culture is a word that's so used in business these days and with good reason, but it's often very misunderstood. So, through all of the work we've done, we have boiled the concept of culture, which is a complex and nuancey one, down to this. Culture is the sum total of the way we relate with each other. And that word relate is really important. I would underline that because culture is ultimately about relationships. So, culture is about the way we relate with each other. Now, let me give you three things to know about culture. Number one, most cultures, most family cultures, most team cultures, most organization cultures are accidentally developed instead of intentionally designed and nurtured. And like many other things in life, a culture that is accidentally developed is very unlikely to be as beautiful and solid and thriving as one that is intentionally designed and nurtured. Number two, culture is really team specific. So if I were to ask you to describe the workplace culture in your organization as a whole, you might give me a few words. And then if I was to ask you to describe the organization on your team, the smaller group of people that you work most closely with, you might give me different words. And that's normal and to be expected because the way we change the culture of an organization isn't in a grand sweeping initiative from the top down. It's actually one team at a time. So number one, culture really needs to be intentionally designed. Number two, culture is really team specific. And number three is an and. It's two parts. The first part is culture is everyone's responsibility. Every single person in any group of people influences the culture, either for the better or worse. And at the same time, the person on a team with the most influence on the culture of that team is, can you guess? It's the formal leader of the team or the person with the most positional power. This is an and because even if you're not a formal leader, this doesn't mean that you don't have influence on culture. Everyone influences culture. We all have responsibility. We'll talk about what that responsibility is in a future video. But it does mean that if you are a formal leader of a team, you have an extra layer, an extra set of responsibilities and privileges around culture. There's your definition of culture. There's your three important things to know. In next video, I'm going to actually begin to answer where does culture come from and thus how do we change it? I'll see you there.